All right. So welcome everybody. It is Thursday, February 27th, 2025. Market's pretty much just flat on the day right now. Actually, dead zeros across the board. So we are right where we opened the session today. Just another day in paradise on here. So we talked about it this morning too. Let's take a look at the charts. Jump in. Okay. So let's jump in here and see what we got. So here's uh, the 15-minute and the 3-minute charts. You can see really hasn't been a whole lot of anything except some sideways chopping action. But uh, if you look at the 3-minute chart here, I did do some zero DTE trades. Normally I'll wait till 10:30, but earlier on we had hit above the 3 ATR and the Bollinger Band on the 3-minute as we ran up, and we just started selling off pretty well from there. So I thought good opportunity, good idea, just to do a put credit spread. We had good volatility early on, which is why I did it early, as opposed to kind of uh, waiting, till 10:30. I thought, oh, good opportunity. So we got in as we broke the 21-day or 21 moving average on the 3-minute here. Things were heading lower as well. So you can also see right here on the 15-minute, and I don't really want to get too grainy on this thing today, but uh, we had this bullish PSAR moving, okay, until right up at the top here, when we hit the top of the day, which was right around 9:36 or so, we triggered uh, the bearish PSAR. So we flipped from bullish dot to the bearish dot. Okay, so we flipped to a bearish PSAR here. We started heading down on the 3-minute. And MACD was rolling over, RSI was dropping, stochastic momentum was dropping. I thought it was a good opportunity, so I did do a zero DTE call credit spread. That thing didn't take long, so we got out of that thing, and then we came all the way down. Not only did we get out here, but it kept going and broke the bottom of the Bollinger Band and the 3 ATR with this move, okay, down here. Uh, and I thought, well, let's take a look at what the options were. And the options uh, for this, my typical zero DTE put credit spread, I we had a 40, and the reason I posted this in the chat again as well for you guys was we had a $40 expected move on the session. Well, we already moved $40 down, so we already hit the expected move. Doesn't mean you can't break the expected move to the downside, but we were already at the expected move. We broke the Bollinger Band, we broke the 3 ATR. To me, I felt that was a little bit extended. So I was able to, right at 10:04, which was like right on this green candle here. I wanted to wait to see if this hammer candle saw a green move up, and it did. And then and we were at the bottom of the stochastic momentum, and everything was bottomed here. Doesn't mean we couldn't go lower, but I put this on at 58.15 was the short strikes, and we were at 59.30. So it gave me 115 points of room to the downside on when we were past the extended move and past the Bollinger Bands. I thought it's at least worth a put credit spread on zero TTE here. I didn't expect this recovery, but we got a gigantic bounce off of that today. But you can see MACD reversed, ran higher, RSI ran higher, stochastic momentum ran higher. Took a bit for squeeze to reverse. I don't really always use the squeeze in here, but took a bit for that to reverse. Anyway, we got out of that. It only took about 9 minutes for this move to happen. Now we've settled into a range. If I was trading now, I think I would still potentially do. We've already won twice on the day. I actually would consider it's 10:30. It's normally the times I would get in. Okay, I double dipped today, but I'm actually considering that I actually might look at, since we're dead in the middle, right at the 21 EMAs on both the 15 and Bollinger Bands are pinching in. We might actually consider an iron condor, but I don't want to I don't want to press my luck, but it's 10:30. I would look at an SPX iron condor here and do both the put and the call side uh, at my 5 delta. But I'm not going to do anything more on the day. I think that's enough. We cranked out 750 bucks today. I just trade small on these, so it's all good. Anyway, there's where the market action has been today. It's up, it's down. I don't think there's anything that's really moving it one way or the other. We did see this morning with unemployment claims, they came out much stronger than expected, which I made the comment it should be bullish for stocks. I didn't mean stocks should rally today. I think it's just bullish that unemployment claims are rising. Okay, that's bullish because you're thinking now the Fed may look to cut interest rates potentially sooner than later on that. And let me share screens with you today. Let's see. Triple dipping is an option. All right, let's get into a different screen and let's take a look at a few things here. So today we saw GDP, okay, came in as expected, so no real change in GDP. It's still in decent shape at 2.3%. You saw an increase in unemployment claims. That's a pretty good sign if you're looking for the Fed to potentially cut. Fed wants to see unemployment going the wrong way. Okay, so the Fed wants you to lose your job, just like Elon apparently wants you to lose your job, right? So you got those two things working for you. Then let's look at the Fed Watch tool and let's see what they are thinking that things will look like here. And I really have not looked at this at all for quite some time. But the next meeting is coming up here on March 19th. So we have about 3 weeks till the Fed meeting. Right now we're at the 425, 450 range, and that's exactly where we expect to be. But I want to look at the comparison data. I want to see if things have changed over the last couple days or so, or from yesterday. So from a day ago, nothing really changing here. If we go out to May, a little bit more of an increase that the Fed's not going to do anything. But if you look back a couple of weeks, it's about the same as it's been. And then out to June here, we're now June. Compared to where we were a month ago, the odds have increased of us seeing a little bit of a drop in the Fed funds rate. So we'll see what happens overall, but June is now sitting at about is it 50% on this? It's 425, 450. Yeah, so we're going out to June. Okay. The odds of the cut are now 50%. So they are ticking up a bit that the Fed may cut in June. So now we're over 50% that the Fed will cut may most likely in June, at least 50%. Then after that, we're seeing a pretty good rate, odds that at least by, I hate this little ticker that they have, at least by July, you're now in like the 75% category of seeing a Fed rate cut there. Does that mean anything? I don't know if it does. Okay, again, no sense speculating on it. But what do all of these things mean? I think I look at these things from a longer term lens. So when I say that it's good news for the market, I'm not day trading off of that news. I'm thinking that's good for the Fed to potentially see the Fed may cut. So if that happens a couple months from now, I still think this is bullish overall for stocks. Let's get into away from the day trading stuff and let's jump into really the meat of our trading and where does everything stack up from the weekly and somewhat the daily standpoint. So we've had this giant range today. So a really big, right now, really big candle on the session today. Basically I guess you can call it a bearish engulfing candle, even though we're up slightly today. We'll see we're struggling with the 21. We're struggling with the 200-day moving average here, which is NVIDIA, by the way. So we're struggling with this 200-day, but we're holding on to it. I kind of like this opportunity. I really was bullish after last night's meeting. Okay, this was an absolute uh, fantastic report. Yes, the beat was only 3% on revenue and 5%, but these estimates were so ridiculously high. Okay, so you can't pay attention to the size of the beat. I know somebody put that in the chat this morning. Well, it was only a 3% beat. That beat was unbelievable. Okay, it was a 79% increase year over year. Okay, that's what matters, not the percentage beat. The beat doesn't really matter. Okay, having them beat was great. What matters is the guidance, and them talking about increasing their margins. They're talking about, you know, gobs, billions of these Blackwell chips being shipped. So they were very, very positive. What does that mean to me? That means that I still like NVIDIA here. I like it even more after what I heard. I like the fact that they beat what I figured was astronomical estimates, and they still beat them. Even if they had just met them, to me, that was a win. May not be a win for the stock price short term, but for the lazy trader account, okay, which is an investing account, not trading, okay, fundamentals do matter. Okay? And fundamentals matter, and everything that they said looked really, really good to me from a fundamental standpoint. So the move down today
Sorry
on
to
really good
cut through
earnings
your chat.
makes me want to do a little bit more on these as we go. So anyway, there you go. That's my little take on NVIDIA. Bullish on it, and uh, I love what they're doing. And the only thing that knocked NVIDIA down was when somebody on the call started talking tariffs. Okay? And but they talked about the Blackwell chip having higher margins than previous, which means when those chips come out, their margins should increase. Okay. So CW saying tighter margins and tariffs. Yeah, tariffs I think can play some part in it, but they're according to them, their margins will expand by maybe 3% uh, going forward. So let's see what happens. So let's move from there and get back into the charts here and take a quick look. Uh, so here we are on NVIDIA, as I talked about, on this pullback down. I think this is giving me an opportunity. I'm going to sell more leaps today. We have a very small position in NVIDIA. I think with the drop here today and the feeling that earnings are great, even though tariffs are the big bad word right now, I think all of that will get resolved. All right, so that being said, let's look at ES in here. So ES, pretty much flat on the session, a little bit up, a little bit down, right in the middle. You can see that the bears can't seem to drag it down without the bulls recovering, and the bulls can't seem to push it up without the bears dragging it down a bit. We're still in a current downtrend on the daily chart here, and we're still in this sideways consolidation area that we've been in dating all the way back to the beginning of November. Just a long, long, drawn out consolidation. I think that's actually pretty good. Now, can we break below here and start to head lower? I think that's possible. You've got RSI dropping, MACD dropping, stochastic momentum dropping from overbought, all on the weekly. Those aren't great signs, but you're right at the 21-day moving average on the weekly, so I don't think that's bad. You've got the anchored VWAP just below. You've got the Bollinger Bands tightening up and rising in here. I'm not, I'm still not bearish on this market. Okay. I'm still just cautiously optimistic, cautiously bullish on what we're seeing. The short term here, we're down, but I think that's good for us. And we're into a bit of an oversold territory here, dipping to this 40 level. We didn't get to the 30 level on our side, but stochastic momentum's been heading down, and I wouldn't be surprised to see at least some sort of a bounce. I don't know that we're hitting new highs anytime soon, but I think this is still a very good on ES. potential strangle opportunity in here. The only thing, and because we're strangling 90 days, I think we're fine. We're right near the 21-day moving averages on the weekly. So that's all good here. I think you just keep putting on these like at the money 1-1-1 trades. I think strangles aren't bad in here. And I think a 1-1-2 trade is not a bad thing in here. Just a spec 1-1-2 trade. I just want to be protected to the upside a bit. And if we fade down here, I want to collect a little bit more. So while strangle's not a bad opportunity, it may not be my favorite thing on ES right now, but we do have an ES strangle. We'll take a look at that. All right, let's keep moving. Let's get into oil. So oil, maybe the low's in, Craig, but anyway, and he may be in. We'll see. But oil's been taking it on the chin for weeks now, falling down. Hey, a broken clock only needs to be right once a day, twice a day, I guess, twice a day. Sorry about that. All right. Anyway, oil, nice little move higher today. Great for our positions, considering we have a 1-1-1 trade on, which is in really, really good shape. It's not up a lot right now. It's only up about 8%, but that's only been 16 days. And then we have a strangle, and that strangle is down just a few $100 on the strangle because we really sold off pretty hard for a week. And now our last 5 sessions, I should say, and then a little bit of a bounce here. I like it, especially if you look at the weekly, bouncing off the 200-day moving average. I'm not calling the bottom. I'll leave that for others, okay? But Craig called it, okay? Even though he called it a week or so ago, we won't count that. We'll just count it as today. That maybe the lows are in. But you're at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. This is a perfect spot to at least get some sort of a reversal right now. RSI's moving higher. MACD starting to reverse. Stochastic momentum is oversold and starting to move. And even on the weekly here, you've got some decent support in here. The only thing is we did trigger a bearish PSAR signal this week on it. So we'll see what happens overall. All right, so there you go on oil. So what would we trade here on oil? Well, I think at these lows, doesn't mean we can't go lower, but I certainly think 1-1-2 trades are really good options. I would also even consider potentially a put credit spread, at least on the potential little bit of a reversal till we come back into this range and then maybe we head lower. So I don't know that the selling is over, but maybe for at least a couple days to a week or so, we may tread sideways to higher, maybe even more. But I think I wouldn't strangle anything yet, even though I don't think it's a bad spot to get into a new one there. Let's see if this thing can get some legs underneath it. But I like it for 1-1-2s in here. Oh, yeah, Time Merchant looks good for Jade Lizard's 1-1-2. Yeah, I 100% agree. So I'm with him on this one. Like I said, I think 1-1-2s, put credit spreads, not a bad option either if you're directional. So if you think it's bottomed, put credit spread, and then a Jade Lizard is another opportunity for you in here. We can see how those set up. We'll take a look at some trades. All right, gold. Been backing off nicely of this ascending triangle. It's broken the short-term uptrend. We can take that thing off. So now we're looking at gold easing off of its highs here. So as gold is easing off of its highs, it's been overbought. So this is not really anything crazy that we're seeing. If you look at the weekly chart, RSI here, it's been overbought, starting to come down from overbought. Stochastic momentum is overbought and starting to flatten out. RSI or MACD might be starting to reverse its move a bit here. Not calling anything bearish in gold, but definitely think we can come down to this 2,800-ish level. So somewhere around this, 2,800 to 2,830, I would be looking for gold in that area potentially right now. But I think gold is still, we have that hedge strangle. I like that trade's doing great. That trade's now up $300. So it just continues to work in our favor. favor on this thing. So what would you do in gold here? We talked about um, just maybe hanging in there. What did I our last meeting, gold was not a play at all. I still don't see gold as much of a play here. I don't think I will be strangling things here yet. I'd like to see more pullback if that happens. I think it could have a little bit more downside to go. I I don't want to put on like a call credit spread. So to me, gold is just a no-go. I'm just not trading anything in gold. You can maybe put a 112 trade on if you could get it to work. I just don't think gold sets up for anything good in here. All right, bonds. They've had a great move to the upside recently. Nice strong move to the upside here on bonds. I mean, this has been a huge move off of the lows. Okay, so everything from 111 all the way now to about 117, almost 118 yesterday at the high. It's not the top of the Bollinger Band. It's at the top. It's hitting this anchored VWAP. It did break through it for a day. Might hang in there. Who knows? Maybe that'll become support for it. It failed at the 50-day moving average on the weekly, and it failed right at the anchored VWAP on the weekly. It's bullish. You have a nice the 21 crossing the 50. Uh, it's still a short-term bullish trade. It's a long-term bearish trade, but I think it's found some lows. I think you could strangle it here. So on ZB, I would still look at strangles. We tried to set up some other things yesterday, like 112s just don't set up on this thing at all. There's not a lot of things you can do with bonds, in my opinion. Doesn't mean other people can't find trades that they like. I just wouldn't do anything on bonds yet until we come back down to the 21 here on the daily as far as other trades. If we get a little bit more weakness on bonds, which I don't know if we'll get, if the market starts to sell off, bonds are going to continue to push higher because they're going to be a safe haven at these rates. The rates are high. People will flock into bonds if the market starts to sell off even more and break some support levels. But for right now in bonds, maybe a strangle. I'm not going to do much else with it. Copper, nothing to do here right now. It's not a perfect strangle setup. A little bit more pullback would be great, but it's not bad. We talked about silver as a strangle setup. I still think silver is a good strangle. Okay. So silver is a good strangle. The NASDAQ, same as the S&P, except the NASDAQ's starting to hit the bottom of this band here. It's breaking the 21-day moving average on the weekly. That's no bueno. Okay, so that's really not good. We're close to tripping the PSAR from bullish to bearish. MACD's falling, RSI is falling. The weekly chart on the NASDAQ does not look great here. The daily chart looks like there's a potential area here to hold. If this area, I think here around 2100 or 21,000 doesn't hold, we could see some more pullback. And I think you're seeing that the Magnificent Seven, they're the ones that are getting beat up the most in there. Are there some opportunities in the Mag 7? I think there are, but I think as a whole, you're just overdone and due for a nice little pullback. And then on RTY, we just got to be patient on this trade. We are just starting to enter the trap, which is great. We're at the top of the trap. We're at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands here, even though the Bollinger Bands are opening and widening, so we could see some more downside. I'm not calling support here. We're right at the 50-day moving average on RTY on the Russell. Until the Fed starts cutting more and rates start getting adjusted, I don't know that the Russell is going to do a whole lot of anything in here. But I think our trade, which is a 112 trade, I think it's a good setup. It's down right now because we've moved down sharply from when we put it on, but it's moved right into the trap. And it's not even it hasn't passed, it's only passed the long leg, hasn't even passed the short leg. The short leg is 2175, so it's right where we are now. So we're really not that far into the trap. We've only passed the long leg, so I like it here. All right. Yeah, ZB perfect for selling covered calls. C dot says, yeah, if you own it and you bought it in at these great prices or you took assignment, I think selling covered calls at the top of the Bollinger Band is a great idea if you own it. But if you don't own it, I'm not suggesting that you buy it here necessarily. Right. So we're actually looking to get in, but we're using TLT to do that. So let's talk about that one briefly. Uh, TLT is going to look the same as bonds here. I have a strangle on TLT. I actually have two of them. I want to use these to get assigned on the puts, but right now it's pushing the upper levels of the strangle, so the strangles aren't doing as well. The one's up 60%. I could probably just close it for like the nice winner that it is. We'll see. A 60% winner, you would think you'd take off a strangle, but we'll make that call on it. So there's TLT. And then if we're looking at volatility, volatility is a little bit elevated if you're looking at the weekly here, but not much. I mean, you're sitting at 19. Okay. There's no fear in this market. Little bit elevated, that's fine. The volatility of the VIX, okay, not really doing a whole lot of anything either. So this is usually a warning sign that if the volatility of the VIX really starts to pick up, and it's up a fraction this week, but it's not doing a whole lot of anything. I'm uh, not too excited about this. So I don't know who's running the fear and greed index. And somebody said there's extreme fear in the market, according to the fear and greed index. If you look at that thing, I don't know where that is. Okay. I think it's pessimism in the market. And when you look at the consumer sentiment, uh, that's what knocked the markets down the other day was consumer sentiment. Well, who gives a crap about people's sentiment? Okay. Until I see hard data, I don't really care what people think the market's going to do. I only care what the market is doing or what any hard data tells me. And so right now, there's just no changing my plans. We're just looking still at ideas out there. I don't see where anyone's getting this fear and greed thing. To me, we're at a neutral of fear and greed. I'm not seeing a ton of fear, and the VIX is certainly not indicating that we have a lot of fear because it's at 19. And uh, there's nothing unusual about that. I think Igor in the Discord posted the term structure as well. Not inverted. I mean, it's just normal. So, the near term is low around 18. The farthest out to October is around 19.9, almost 20. That's not out of the case. We don't see near term fear is not higher than longer term. Longer term should be because there's just more time in the market. This all looks pretty normal to me. And then if we look at the unemployment rate really quickly here, uh, it had been dropping. We'll see when that news uh, comes out about people, unemployment and picking up. But this has just been pretty flat to not doing anything. Here, it's a little elevated, for the last couple months, but not doing much of anything. So anyway, there you go. That's enough on that. Let's do a real quick run through of a few stocks, and then let's get to some trades. We're half an hour in, so right on time to get to trades for the second half. Here, Amazon. I just really like this stock. I've already on Amazon, I think I've already kind of hit the maximum I want to add in the lazy trader account. And I'm fine with where we are there. I think Amazon is really poised well down here. I love this hammer candle. I love the fact that we were at the bottom of the Bollinger Band and we bounced a little bit here. We're giving some of that back today, but not much. I mean, this thing had a nice move up and now it's down 28 cents today. This thing could easily go green by the end of the day on Amazon. I like it here. And on the weekly, which is what I cared about most, was yeah, we've been dropping nicely, which is why I thought adding some more Amazon here a week ago on this move down was not a bad idea. So we sold some puts a week ago. We actually sold the 165s a week ago, the 165s, which is down here. Okay, so we sold the 165. So this is where my short puts are. Oops. Okay. And I'm going to just make this some sort of a different color. But these are where my puts are, right down in here. So I think that's great. If we get down here and we get assigned at 165, or we come down here, I'll be fine. We'll have had to break just about everything there is. The 50 support, the 50, the 200, the Bollinger Band, the 3 ATR. We'll have had to break nearly everything to get down to that level. Doesn't mean we can't do it, but I felt good opportunity. Meta, I think this is also a potential opportunity here. Nice reversal off the Bollinger Band here 2 days ago. It's starting to look up on the MACD, is reversing higher, just like Amazon, kind of at these lows, starting to recover. This thing also didn't quite get as low on the RSI as Amazon did, but I think Meta here is not a bad opportunity. I'm not going to get in yet. Maybe if we get down to the 21 day, that's where I want to get in. The 21 day to me is if we start to break that, that's when I look to start adding leaps. Okay, I would love to add leaps on stocks that I like, and I only have about 3 or 4 stocks that I'll ever trade, okay, or indexes. This is where I would like to add them. All right, let's look at NVIDIA here. It's come down, broken the 21 here, which to me was the trigger to potentially add more leaps. Here we did add leaps. I actually sold the 90s. You can't even see them hardly on this chart. So I sold the 90s. I got a great deal on those. Okay, can barely even see it down here. Okay, but there's my, oh yeah, orange is right. So there's my Amazon, or I'm sorry, there's my NVIDIA naked puts. Can we get there? Yeah, sure. Anything can happen. Okay. I like it there. I loved the earnings. I loved the conference call. I'm pretty happy with this. So let's see. Just checking chat real quick. Let's keep going. So there's NVIDIA. I'm absolutely going to add today, especially when we're at the 200-day moving average on the daily. I want to be in, right? And we're down in the bottom half of the bands and below the 21. I like it. All right, Tesla. This is a tough one. I like Tesla. I hate what Elon. I don't want. And I'm like, I don't hate what Elon's doing with Doge. I hate that Elon is not spending time with his damn company, and I think that's what's really affecting Tesla. So I think what he's doing, spending time doing the Doge thing, is killing his stock, which I don't think he really cares. Uh, I don't want to add more here because the Elon wild card is making me a little bit more nervous on it. However, from an entry standpoint at the 50-day moving average, I think selling naked puts here is not the worst idea in the world on Tesla. We did also sell a leap on here a week ago. I sold the 190, which is down here right at the 200-day moving average on the weekly. So can we get there? Sure. We'll see what happens on these. But I don't think I would have a problem owning this thing around that 190 mark. Compared to 480, owning it, this would be a 60% haircut in the market. So from here down to that 190 strike for me would be a 61% decline in Tesla. I'll take a 61% discount to the highs that it was at. Okay. It's down at the bottom of the Bollinger Band here. Nice move up today. I think it's just trying to hang in there on this bottom of the channel. It's oversold. So I think it's a good opportunity in here. It just hasn't shown you that you should swing trade or do anything with it yet. I don't like Microsoft at all. I think this company's got problems, or stock's got problems. I don't like Google. I think they have some problems and some challenges ahead. I think Apple was giving you some opportunities down here to sell it. We didn't. I didn't really love Apple a ton. But I think as a consumer goods company, not a tech company, so ignore this as a tech company. It's a consumer goods company. You're at you're at an opportunity here that a little at the 21-day moving average is not the worst spot to sell some puts on Apple either. Uh, and then Palantir, it's trying to do something. It didn't fill the gap here yet. Okay. Will it fill the gap? I don't know. It can't really seem to get moving today. I still think the value on this thing is down in the 40 to 50 range. So I would not be selling 80s and 70s here. But the fact that we're getting closer to the 200, the 21-day moving average on the weekly, and but even though things are negative, we could still fall further. We're at the 50-day. We're trying to hold on to that. We're overbought stochastic momentum. RSI is flattening here. It may not be the worst time to take a look at selling something in that 50-ish range to see if it makes sense financially for us. All right. Benjamin, a 0 DTE. Iron Condor. Yeah, I think the Iron Condor was a great opportunity today. I just didn't want to press my luck 3 times. And I think SoFi on this pullback here, especially with this move this week at this low, this candle here, I think SoFi is not a bad place to sell naked puts either. I think Costco, not ready for prime time. I can't sell it. I don't want to get in here. I think JP Morgan, not bad place to get in here on JP Morgan. I think Chipotle, not a bad place to get in on Chipotle. This thing has really been beaten up badly. And if you're bullish on it, the only thing that concerns me here is tariffs and avocados from Mexico. So if you're getting your avocados from Mexico, I know Chipotle has more than just avocados, but in their food menus. But I think that really tariff talk really hit them hard. The other stocks that I like, again, these are the only stocks that I'm trading right now that I'm looking at getting into. I think this was an opportunity potentially to sell naked puts on Robinhood. And then HIMS didn't come down enough for me on the weekly yet. Doesn't mean it's not a bad opportunity. I think this company, I don't know how great it is. I'm considering it one of the better healthcare type of opportunities that's out there. And then AMD, this thing just cannot catch a break here at all. This thing continues to just suck wind. And nothing new there. All right. And then if you're trading, okay, Mobileye, I'm still very bullish on Mobileye. I think it had a great run. We took profits on this thing. We got in again. It's down. Now I think you could also swing trade Mobileye here. I think watch Mobileye for this thing to move. All right. Lastly, I know we're going long. What's new? Let's get into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, nice pullback. Bottom of the Bollinger, broke the Bollinger Bands completely, hit the 3 ATR. It's a pretty hefty pullback on Bitcoin. Oversold on RSI, oversold stochastic momentum, not oversold on the weekly. So I think you could get some more down moves. I was saying 80 is not a bad place to potentially look to get in on this. 76 might even be better at the 50-day, and then maybe even extending this pivot point out. This thing's here right around 73. I think this would be a fantastic point to get long. We're already in. We'll just keep selling covered calls, and we're good. All right, that's enough on stocks. Probably more than you guys wanted anyway, but I wanted to get you huge gap to fill. It's 78K. I don't know. On the week, a gap on the weekly? I'm not really seeing a gap on, on IBIT maybe? Okay, and you're talking IBIT. No, you were talking Bitcoin. I don't know. I'm not seeing a gap. Okay, but maybe on my chart it's different. But I still think we come down into this 80 range here, 75 to 80 is a good opportunity. All right, let's get into some trade opportunities here. If I can switch it back. All right, so here we go. We're having a nice little day today. We're up 7,300 bucks today, so up 7 grand on our main account, the main trading account today. Everything's pretty much going our way so far, knock on wood. All right, so quick review. Oil, we're seeing oil making that move higher. That's good for our 112s. We talked about, now here's my problem is, and I can't trust Tasty. Okay, I'm at 72 BP on Tasty Trade, so I can't really add trades. So I am prohibited from entering trades because of my buying power. So I'm at 72, not the worst thing in the world. I'm not going to do anything about it, but I'm not going to add any new trades unless something comes off. Now, we did close some trades today. I had those XSP calls. I took those off for a nice win, and I closed my ES naked put a 112 today. So I did reduce some exposure, but we're still at 72. Nothing to do on this 111, nothing to do on this strangle. If I was going to trade it, I would probably go out about 77 days. I would look at like a 112 trade in here, probably something that looks along the lines of, I think 55 is too low. On this thing, but I think we could probably look. I mean, we can still be conservative at 56 anyway. But if you're doing a 112 trade, let's see how this thing looks. Okay. Here's what we would be looking at on a 112 trade, potentially in oil with 56 as the low. And I think we talked earlier on oil that, I think there's some support around 67-ish. And then, if you get below that, man, 64 or something like that. But if you're below 60, I think that's a pretty good area to be. You could even probably move this 56 up, which is why I went with a little higher delta. So right now this thing's is going to make 690 in the tail on 55.32. So it's going to make really good money in this particular trade, well over 10%. So $700 using 55.32. It's making 13% in 77 days. I love this trade. I would absolutely consider adding this particular trade on today if you were looking for something to do. I think this is a good opportunity. I'm going to post this in the Discord. Okay, so there's an idea there. So I think a 112 trade here looks good. If you wanted to get a little Jade Lizardy on this thing, you could do something with similar here, and maybe let's start with this, and then let's see what happens on this. I have to narrow this thing a bit. So if you want to do like a Jade Lizard on this, something along these lines may not be too bad. Um, okay, something like this, you could potentially even pull in the calls here, but this thing makes $200 um, in the tail using 3,500. So it makes like 6% in 77 days. So no risk to the upside. Even if we explode, you make good money. But here we're really shooting for the trap. Okay, so you can make $700 on 3,500 in margin if it stays anywhere in this range. Could we move these up even more? Okay. It reduces the tail, okay, but 77 on the upside here, it's doable. I think that's the top of the 3 ATR band. I think that would be a good spot. I think this trade personally would be a really good opportunity. You're making roughly 690 bucks on 35.14. So it's 20%. So there's a 20% trade if oil stays in the trap. Okay. Makes sense. Let's post this also in the we'll post this in the Discord. So I'm giving you guys two trade opportunities here. So there's my two trades, a 1-1-2 trade and the Jade Lizard. The Jade Lizard is obviously going to pay a lot more if we stay in the trap. The 1-1-2 trade gives you a nicer return in the tail if we stay here or move higher. I think the Jade Lizard's the better trade. All right, real quick, ES, nothing to do on ES. We got nothing coming up. We got some hedges and PDS coming off tomorrow, no big deal. There's one of our at the money calls here. This thing's up 238% now. Loving it, loving it. This is great. So excited on this trade. Where are you? I don't know why Tasty does this. It drives me crazy. Okay, we're in the trap. Things are great. Okay, I don't want this thing to leave the trap. So if this starts to head higher, we start to get bullish at all, then I'll cancel it out. But right now, I love this trade. So this is a really nice trade. We could make 1,200 bucks. We're up 536, so we're only up half the distance on this thing. I think we let this thing go further. So I like that. I like that version. This version down here hasn't paid off yet. Okay, but we're in the trap. Okay, and all we need to do is just hang tight above the bottom here, and this thing will do something similar. So we have two of these at the money 1-1-1 trades cooking in here. We got naked puts from our 1-1-2s. These are fine. Nothing to do with those. Nothing to do on any of these other ones. Strangle here is up 15% in 15 days. Okay, so here's our strangle. Here's where we are. Okay, you can barely see it, but pretty much in the middle of this strangle. I don't think we're skewed to the upside on this. I don't think we're going to 6,700 anytime soon. Okay, so I love this strangle. It's a great setup. I think you could really look at another ES strangle, but we're doing well on that trade here. What would be an idea on ES? Would be another at the money 1-1-1 trade. You could do a Jade Lizard as well. If I was an at the money 1-1-1 trade, let's take a look at. Let's just take a look here and see what an at the money 1-1-1 trade would look like. And does this thing make sense? Okay. So here's what this thing looks like. It's going to make 525 in the tail, okay, on 5,700. So that's a nice 10% return in 30 days. I'll take that any day of the week. If you drop into this trap here, you're going to make 1,700. I like this idea as well. So I think this one works. Can we move this up a little bit more too? Yeah, we don't make as much money in that tail. So I'm going to stick with the pretty much at the money. I don't know if it's the way I had it a minute ago. 60-30. Something like this. Okay, so I think this one's not bad the way this is set up here. So I think this is an idea. I'll give you guys this one in the Discord. Okay. Not a bad trade there either. So I think that's an opportunity. And then you could Jade Lizard it as well, which might be even the better trade. I don't remember what I just did on the lower end. What was that? Around 52.50, something like that. Yeah. So let's go here. Let's go to the expected move. Put this on, and let's see what a Jade Lizard looks like as well. So here's this Jade Lizard. We'd have to bring this up a little bit. We need a little bit more juice from the downside. Probably got to pull these in a tad. So here's the Jade Lizard. Let's actually widen. Well, I don't think we're going to 6,400, but who knows? 63.25. Let's look at this. All right, so here's an opportunity on the Jade Lizard. Now, the tail's not going to make you any money, 100 bucks. Okay, but the goal here is, can we can we try to stay in this trap with the markets being a bit bearish right now? This is not a bad idea trade. I don't know what you guys think on this one, but this is not bad in here. Yeah, can we run up a little bit more here? I don't know how much upside we have. I think 6,200 is a pretty good upside. So maybe we pull these things in even more. Well, this is crazy. Let's take a quick look. And we got 5-point wide. We got 5 wides, so we could do something that's like a 10 wide. Yeah, we gotta stick with 5s. What's the highest 5s that we can go? No, we were pretty much right at it. It's here. This sets up nicely because I like the fact that we can do a 5 wide on this thing. Doesn't give us. What did I just do? I moved something. Dang nabbit. Oh, it's here. That's what I wanted. Sorry. So you can see that the tail's pretty doggone fat on this thing. We could make 900 bucks in the tail. We don't make a whole lot more in the trap. So the trap's not really paying off because it's a very narrow trap. But if we go, can we not go 10 wide? We can't do a 10. Okay. Can't do 10 wide, which would have been awesome. We can only do 25. I think the fact that there's a little anomaly here with a 5 wide makes this a really interesting trade right here. The trap is not super fat. Okay. You have no risk to the upside. In fact, the upside just as good. It's almost as good as just putting on, I guess, a naked put in here. Maybe there's not enough benefit to this trade there. So maybe we'll chicken out of that a bit. Okay. But I think a Jade Lizard doesn't set up quite as well because of the 25 wides. If we could go 10 wide, the Jade Lizard would be the play. If not, I think the 112 is the play. The at-the-money 112 is the play. On ES, gold, you can see we're up 300 bucks on these two combined. The hedge triangle, nothing to do there. NASDAQ, this thing's up 77%. This is awesome. We're in the trap on it. Fantastic. I'm going. And you can't even see the bottom here. So we're in the trap. Okay, this trap pays 2 grand. I love this setup. This was such a great setup on NASDAQ. So this was an at the money 111 as well. Absolutely paying off. We're up 890 on this thing, and we're only a little bit into this trap. The trap goes all the way down here to 1800 and some. So we still have to drop 3,000 points on the NASDAQ. So if we stay in here, we can make 2 grand either way, and we have no risk to the upside on this thing. So I like that trade. I could consider. I probably won't consider putting another NASDAQ trade on because I think that looks worse than the S&P. We've got a 112 trade on in RTY. It's down, but we're barely even into the trap. It's early. ZB, we got Strangles running. Nothing to do on those Strangles. Those are totally fine. You could put a new Strangle on in ZB. I think that's fine. Amazon, this thing's just flat on the session. This is just a long call shot. I got 50 days for this thing to go up 6 points or more. I'm fine with that. IBIT, this is fine. We're just looking at waiting for this $60 of extrinsic to come out. This NVDA one, the NVIDIA covered call, we've already gotten everything out of it. There's only $37 worth of extrinsic left in this thing. No sense hanging on. We'll see if we can get out. Boom, we're out on NVIDIA. And now we can sell another one. All right, so all we want to do now is let's go out to next Friday. And I'm going to give us a little cushion. I still want to be at the money. I still want to generate cash. We got what, one contract. The IVR is down on this thing, but I'm gonna give myself just a tad bit of, you know what? I really don't. So the underlying here is still up. Okay, so I really don't care about the upside. So let's tighten it up a bit more. 300. Let's make at least $300 here. Boom. All right, so we've swapped that one out. We closed the NVDA. If you're following along at home, this is an income poor man's covered call, different than your standard poor man's covered call. It's on NVIDIA. Right now, the current value of NVIDIA here is 58.87. Okay, so we're up 500 and some dollars, 517 on the calls. And then we just closed for 37 cents. 37 cents. So that gave us $828 on that trade because we did it in the money and it did drop below it. So not only did we get all the extrinsic, but we cushioned this whole thing. So we actually took in $828. We have now collected over almost $500 worth of credit on this thing. So it's 500 plus the 500. We're now up 19% in this trade in 28 days. So this one's going really, really well. So this trade is in great shape, and we just sold a new call for $3 at the money. We'll take in $300 on that one. This is good. So it's doing exactly what we want it to do, but we've made over almost $1,000 on this trade using what, 1,700 in margin, and we've made $1,000. So overall, we've done really, really well on NVIDIA. All right, SPY, we've got the SPY leaps, nothing to do there. Covered call. On this one's at 94%. No sense keeping that thing going. We could use that cash for something else. We'll let it cook for a minute. Okay, but I want to get a new covered call on SPY at the money. SPY right now, the current value of the SPY performance covered call is 11,823. Okay. So we're down $1,000 on this, but we have collected. We've only done this twice now, so this is a very new trade. Let's see if we can get this one closed. Oh, come on. All right, we'll give it a minute. But if we close this one at 33 cents here today, what are we going to generate? Okay, it's going to generate another. There we go. Got some. So we closed it at 32, even better than we put in. So at 32 cents, we made $470 on that covered call. So we have now, even though the SPY poor man's covered call is down 1,000, we have also generated $843 worth of income from the covered call. So this trade's only down 1%, despite SPY being down 8% since we've opened this trade 21 days ago. So SPY's down 8%. We're down 1.6%. Let's do it again. Let's sell another one for next week. Go 8 days to next Friday. We're going to go pretty close to at the money here. I'm going to give it like just a tad bit of room. But I'm okay making $548. There we go. So we'll take in $548 more on this trade. If SPY stays here, then we'll definitely be in the profit zone. Despite SPY being down 8%, we'll actually have a winning trade going. And we put that on for how much? 548. So, all right. Hopefully this is okay with you guys that we're just running through these things and you're getting to see what we're doing. This is the covered call on that one. So we'll track it. Hey, we've made $2 already today. Beautiful. All right, TLT. We were banking on this covered strangle, potentially TLT going lower. It hasn't. It's got 15 days. I'm going to just close this thing out for 13 cents. If I don't get it, I'm okay. So when you looked at the actual trade on this TLT, and I gave you guys the idea of what I'm doing, I really was looking. I don't want to get stopped out to the upside, and things are a little bullish right now. We're at the 96, so I'm not really thinking we're going to hit 96 anytime soon. But I was looking to get assigned on the at the 85. Okay. If not, I'm going to take my 180 bucks, my 60% return in 17 days. I'm going to take my ball. I'm going to go home. And we could look to do another one. This one's 8 days out. Let's take a look to see, do we like this thing? So around 30 days. Okay. I still like that 85. I don't know, we're getting paid much for that thing at all. We're gonna make what are we taking in for these? Typically, we make around 30 cents. This trades 24 cents. 85 is still where I wouldn't mind getting assigned at. I'll go 85 and a half. Let's do that. 98. I'm okay with the upside. All right, so if I get assigned at 85 and a half, I'll be happy to wheel at that price. We're at 91 now. 86 might even be, I mean, I don't really want to go too much above 85 on TLT. Getting assigned. You know what? That's still 86. I could do 86. All right, so we're going to stick with 86 there. We're going to look for 27 cents. Let's put this thing on. We're doing small contracts because I don't want, if I get assigned, I got to own 10 contracts at 90 bucks. So it's going to chew up some cash. All right, so we're going to put on another one of these strangles that I'm looking to get assigned at the lower end and wheel. All right, and then Tesla, last one here. We're at 90%. We're making 602 bucks on it. It's just kind of hanging here. I get $67. To me, I could use a little bit more money. So if we get under 60 into the like the $50 range, I'll close it early. If not, I'm going to let this one sit for a bit. There's no need to close it at 90%. I have $67. I'll take the 67 bucks. All right, there we go. Sorry, I know we're probably dipping into extra time here. I did want to look at the Lazy Trader account quickly. AMD, got 1 day to go on this thing. It's going to expire worthless. I'm not going to do anything with that. I could put a new one on today, maybe. Amazon, I am at 10,000 as much BP as I want to allocate towards Amazon, so that one's fine. IBIT, this thing, we could certainly take this off. I don't know if it'll close for a penny, but I'll leave it there. Maybe I'll close it for 2 cents. On this one, I wouldn't mind. This is, again, not the same thing. I'm not selling at the monies on these. I'm selling out of the monies. So I would want to go out of the money on IBIT. We'll see if we close. I'm not adding any more IWM here. NVDA, got a Jade Lizard. It's doing great. Okay, nothing to do here. It's up 66% on it. The most I can make is 550. I could probably take it off, but why? It's not hurting anything. I got so much BP in this account. I don't need to touch it. These leaps are good. I think on NVIDIA here with this move lower today, I talked about adding some more. So I think I'm going to add one more leap in here. Let's go down. I don't need to go 386. I can do, well, maybe. What did I add before? I went to the 90, 386. I'd like to get a nice return. Let's look at like the 80 strike. I would be happy to own NVIDIA at 80. It's still roughly the 12 delta, which is fine. I'm going to generate 440 bucks worth of cash on 385 in buying power. That's pretty good. I'm not going to go crazy size. We're going to do 5 contracts on this thing. I'm willing to spend up to $10,000 in margin. I have roughly $4,000 left. I'm not going to do it all in one fell swoop. Let's use $2,000 in margin here to open up a new NVDA put. So I'll take that one. I like NVIDIA here. The Qs I'm going to wait on, but I'd like to add some more. We're at 100% on with 1 day to go. This thing's just going to expire for 100% winner tomorrow. No sense closing it. And then I don't know if I'm going to add any leaps yet on Qs. SoFi, this is in great shape. Nothing to do yet on SoFi. SPY, these leaps are fine. The Jade Lizards is at 75% with a day to go. It's probably going to expire worthless at 100%. So why fuss with that? I'm not going to sell anything more. TLT, we're all profitable on all of our TLTs now. In fact, even the rolls, loving this. We could close this naked put out. I was willing to go to 90% because I was willing to take assignment at 87. I think we could just close this out. Take the cash if it gets there. If it closes, fine. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'll take this one off. I'm going to leave these rolled ones on and leave a little bit more of the juice out of those. TMF is fine. Nothing to do there. TNA is fine. Nothing to do there. Tesla, I'm not adding any more leaps on Tesla here. And then Taiwan Semiconductor is fine. Down here, we're down 800 bucks. So nothing to do. The only thing we talked about was Palantir. Last thing here before we jump. Markets are down. Palantir is actually up on the day. We were going to look at a leap. Let's look at 358 days out. I still think 50-ish is not a bad spot. This gives me a 50% return in a year. So 50% return in a year. And if we got assigned on Palantir, we'd own it at 50. 45. 45, I actually like this better because I think the 45, if I make 300 bucks using 600 in BP, it's still like a 50% return. Let's do that and let's allocate a little cash to Palantir here. Let's go in slow, okay, and we'll look to spend a little bit of our money now and establish potentially our first Palantir option at 45. I think 40 is good. 45, I'm fine. We'll see if we get filled. I'm gonna let it bake. And then we did close out TLT. All right, so I'll record all those trades. Hope this was helpful to you guys. Yep, there you go. So we are now in on Palantir as well. All right, I think that's it. We've got everything covered. I hope this was helpful for you guys to see what I'm doing here. I'll let you go. Enjoy a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you back in the Discord. All right, take care.